Let's jump into the Gene Simmons topic, man.
I ain't gonna lie. Let's get to it.
Gene Simmons said, "Do we want to be PC with it or
no? We gonna. You're stupid.
I think it said he don't want he basically saying, bro, he don't want no ends in the.
That's pretty much what he's saying
in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, bro.
Is that what he's saying?
Well, that's not what he said, but
okay. No, I'm saying like, is that what he's saying? Like,
if you listen to how he said it, it's basically like, bro, why is hip hop being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when rock and roll and hip hop is two different genres? And
I see where he's coming from, but knowing who he is, I don't agree with him.
So Gene is saying Gene been shouting this out through the top of his lungs for years.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
so
the
it's
thing.
not this comment is not like very surprising that it's coming, because every year, every time there's a new inductee, he's shouting that out. Hey, bro, when y'all gonna stop putting these niggas up in this goddamn thing, because this ain't hip hop Hall of Fame.
Right.
This is Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Like, this is for us. This is for my genre to get in, to be celebrated, not hip hop. If hip hop wants to be celebrated and have their own Hall of Fame, go ahead and do that. Do your thing.
See, the fundamental issue is that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was created to acknowledge all. It wasn't created to acknowledge simply rock and roll. It was, and furthermore,
at first it was though.
No,
because
but
the first hip hop artist got in. Was it LL Cool J?
LL Cool J was the first.
Yeah, and that when did he get inducted?
Fairly recently.
Exactly.
But if we all know the origins of rock and roll, we could start there.
Yeah.
Origins of rock and roll.
Yeah.
We know where it's coming from. And regardless of the fact, I think that the biggest issue with this thing, bro, like I said, whatever, they're never going to rename it to say Music Hall of Fame. It's never going to happen. It's always going to stay right where it's at.
Well,
Jay-Z gave the worst option, to call it the Hip Hop Hall of Fame. What? You're just bugging.
No.
So they're going to keep it where it's at. But I think that
it should stay where it's at.
See, the problem is that even if there was a push for there to be a change, bro, I think that the messenger coming from Gene Simmons is the worst messenger ever. Let me tell you something. If Gene Simmons from Kiss wants to act like he's the protector of rock and roll, got you. That's cool. Do that. I'm not tripping. Gatekeep rock and roll
because he was awesome.
No, he wasn't. Hold on, time out. Let me tell you something.
It's a huge band.
No, they weren't. This is the problem.
Kiss was a huge band.
Let me tell you something, T.O. That's the fundamental issue. They weren't that, bro. They weren't no Led Zeppelin. Let me tell you something. They weren't Led Zeppelin. They weren't Van Halen. They weren't AC/DC. They weren't Judas Priest. They weren't none of that, bro.
Kiss was big, bro.
They weren't Aerosmith even, bro. They were big on branding, bro. They were big branding, bro. If you want to talk about marketing, you want to talk about branding, bro. Everybody knew the faces, bro. Everybody knew that black and white face, tongue out. They knew the marketing, bro. They were number one in that. The same way how Van Halen at the time was able to revolutionize rock, right? They were able to revolutionize rock with the guitar. You have Van Halen doing that. You have Judas Priest revolutionize metal. You have all these things happening, bro. It takes a certain a group like a Kiss to revolutionize the marketing portion of it. I got you, but that's it. That's where it stops. Their music wasn't impactful enough to say that anybody gonna listen to a messenger like a Gene Simmons to say that somebody like Run DMC who impacts hip hop till this day. If you want to be honest. They don't impact rock to this day. Kiss don't impact.
They don't impact.
Kiss don't impact.
It's just a branding to me.
They still got the what is the devil horns?
Yeah,
that's all branding.
That's all branding.
We know branding
to this day.
We know branding from them. We don't know music from them, bro.
Okay.
They got one of the biggest records, like Rock and Roll All Night,
bro.
That's a huge record.
I'm telling you right now,
that is huge.
It absolutely is. Gene Simmons don't get too. He don't get.
I'm not saying. Okay, listen, I'm not saying that he gets to gatekeep it. No. I'm not disagreeing with saying I'm not okay with Gene gatekeeping it. But for you to say Kiss is not a huge group,
I'm not saying Kiss is not a huge group.
No, you just named a bunch of groups
who are bigger than them. Yeah. Who are bigger than them by numbers, bigger than them by impact,
Zeppelin,
bigger than them by
for sure, AC/DC for sure,
everybody,
Aerosmith for sure,
Van Halen,
Van Halen's good, but Kiss is huge too, man.
They are, bro.
Yeah,
I think I know Kiss from like branding.
Like,
right, bro.
no, listen, Kiss.
That's gonna be one of the popular ones because you can remember the makeup.
Yes, Kiss is branding for sure.
Definitely, I agree.
Kiss is branding for sure,
absolutely.
But I think for again, listen, do Gene Simmons has some type of point? Yeah, he does have a point, right? I think that those two should be separated, right? I'm not saying that I'm not okay. I'm okay with hip hop going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame,
right?
But it's the same way if it was a hip hop Hall of Fame and rock and roll was getting inducted into that. A lot of people would have issues with that. Also,
no, they wouldn't, because hip hop's roots is rock and roll.
Facts, I know that for sure.
But the understanding is that anything that comes from the tree of rock and roll can be in here. So if Elvis wants to be in there afterwards, if the backbone of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was black music, then anybody could be in that bitch. It's cool because we're the creators of that shit.
Facts.
I think that once it becomes that they get the gatekeep and then they get to say who gets to be in and out. That's how he wants to do this, bro. It's like he doesn't. I don't think that Gene Simmons can hold a candle to the impact that a group like Run DMC had. I don't think that the impact that Kiss had would hold a candle. So I think that when you have somebody that comes out and speaks against it, they're right, bro. Gene Simmons cannot say that. So his example was that he doesn't have no kind of acknowledgement of hip hop being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because he's not from the ghetto, so he doesn't understand.
That's
he
why
doesn't understand.
That's why I said
so
he used the N-word. Basically, want to use the N-word.
So what I'm getting at is that he's saying that he has no. Because I've also heard him say out of his same white mouth to say that he was impacted by goddamn black music, impacted by the rock and roll.
Chuck Berry, Little Richard.
So for him,
started that rock and roll.
So for him to say that, I don't understand how he can say that he don't have no. And
isn't rock and roll stem from blues?
Yeah.
Something like that.
From black music.
There's no somewhat.
But it is stem
No,
from blues.
I know that.
From black music.
It comes from
blues
black
is
music.
from,
It's come from black music.
Bro,
Gospel.
rock and roll is hip hop, nigga.
No.
Move up, dog.
No.
Rock, bro.
Hip hop comes from rock. I get what he's saying.
How?
But because he's just saying, because he's saying it's not rock and roll.
No, bro, listen.
I get it. It's not rock and roll, but when they add you to the rock and roll, it's not because you're making rock music. It's just like the highest level of achievement you can receive when it comes to music. So I get that. So I get that they would add hip hop to it, but I also understand him saying that it's not rock and roll.
Yeah, that's where I get it.
In name, I can understand.
That's what I'm saying.
In name, because of what we've become to understand, because of what we've been programmed and been in conditioned to understand what rock and roll is or what that is, then I can understand in name now. I can understand. But if we know the real history behind the name, the term rock and roll, if we understand what rock and roll was, then there's no way in hell hip hop can't be first ballot Hall of Famers. They can't be a Belichick.
Nobody can say anything to nobody that's of.
Come on,
if that's
when
the
it comes
case,
to music,
can't do that for a lot of genres.
You're talking about country music.
We wouldn't be
about jazz. You talking about all of it, bro. It's all our music.
And I think Gene has to see the whole view too. Like I said, Chuck Berry, Little Richard, like all these guys.
Domino.
Yeah, all these guys that started rock and roll. Like I think if anything, if he looks at the history into the whole totality, he will look at it in a way, but like, okay, listen, this is a black genre. And I think a lot of white people that love rock and roll, that enjoy rock and roll, they sometimes tend to forget where it comes from.
Absolutely.
The root of rock and roll is all black.
And not even forget, they might not even know.
Yes.
But the problem is we can't say that about Gene Simmons because we've seen
He
so
knows
much,
it.
and we've seen him speak on it so much, bro.
Rock and roll has been whitewashed so much,
of course, right,
throughout the years, where people don't know Chuck Berry started it, Little Richard started it. They don't know that's where that genre come from. They don't know that it comes from the blues. You feel me? They don't know that.
So that's why when you say that in name, if we're talking about now, in name, he's right.
Yeah.
If we're talking about the origin of the actual term in the name of rock and roll, then he's clearly out of his mind. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Gene's definitely out of his mind. But like I said, Gene been shouting this out for every chance that he's got throughout the years. And I think it's only been him, you know what I mean, that's been shouting it out.
They trying to take everything, bro. They trying to take everything.
And I'm not even gonna say it's only him. Maybe he's because he's such like he's been in reality TV since the early 2000s and like that sort. Maybe he's the one that feels like he can like speak out about these things, and maybe maybe Ozzy felt like that before he passed, and these others felt like that before.
Ozzy never said anything. So.
No,
and Ozzy was very
but
outspoken
because he was early reality. But I'm saying though, let's say that Bon Jovi and these other niggas feel like that too, but they don't say it, bro. You feel me? They might feel like that also, bro, but they're not saying it. So I'm not gonna say that Gene Simmons is listen. I'd rather you speak out and say what you want to say, right? And then whatever reaction you get from that, hey, take it. You know what I'm saying? Don't be pie and be like thinking in the back of your mind when you see goddamn NBA YoungBoy walking up on the stage like, this motherfucker doesn't deserve to be in the Hip Hop Hall of Fame. I mean, in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. If you get to saying that at that time, we're like, damn, bro, you could have been just said that when they let fucking Run DMC and these other niggas in there. Why you ain't been said that then? Why now? That's my only thing with it, bro.
I think they tend to forget where the shit come from, man. I really do believe that. So if hip hop doesn't belong, right, then why has it influenced fashion, slang, touring, and even rock a production for the last 40 years?
Well, when you say that, look in the camera and direct it to Gene, because ain't no one ever say that didn't belong.
No, but I'm saying though, like that's a valid question though. That's a valid question because you got to think about it. In the mind of like the Gene Simmons and these guys, if we're saying like G.I. said, hey, if we're talking about the name of, if we're talking about rock and roll, then they don't deserve to be in there. Like, why do you feel like that? For example, is it more or less because if we're influencing everything, right? Even if the name is goddamn Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that's why I gave the example before. Jay-Z gave a proposal. Let's change the name to Hip Hop Hall of Fame. No, that's not. Let's change the name to
anything. It needs to stay that way because, like I said, we understand that it's not about rock music only. It's like the highest achievement you can like achieve when it comes to music to be put in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So
everything come from that genre. You know, everything came from the blues genre. Like everything came from that. So rock came from came from blues. Right. So if it's named Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, we still have to look at all the
blues and
what came before that. So hip hop, if we say hip hop, if hip hop is going to be inducted, I can understand because that's where hip hop came from. It's just a branch off of the same tree.
This is what I'll say in the interview that really sparked this recent debate from Gene. He said something along the lines of I don't remember what band he said, but he said that it would be egregious if this rock band did not get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but this hip hop artist were able to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So, for example, let's say Led Zeppelin wasn't able to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but Tupac was, right? Who do you think would, now, just going based off of like that sort of an example, who do you think would deserve to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame more? Would it be a Led Zeppelin who is, I mean, hands down influential within like what rock and roll is and what the creation was and what the foundation is and where it leads to today still, or compared to like a Tupac who embodies everything that hip-hop rock and roll started out into where it began, where it led to where hip hop goes. Like,
I think they both deserve to get in.
But there has to be, let's say it's on some first ballot Hall of Fame shit, right? Like how they doing Bill Belichick right now.
So if we talk about the origins of it, then Tupac. Then it'll be Tupac.
It's gotta be Tupac.
Yeah. So if we talk about the origin, that's what I'm saying. I think, like I said, a lot of these white people who that don't look up the history, that don't know where this come from, they will say Zeppelin will deserve to go first, right? And rightfully so. If you don't know your history, you're gonna say Zeppelin.
See. Go. I'll let you finish.
But I think that if you know where all this come from, you're gonna say hip hop. You're gonna say hip hop, and you're gonna say Pac would be able to get in before that. Okay. So, like I said, other people who might not have enough information might say Zeppelin. You get what I'm saying? And I get it. Like
4 out of 7 days, I'm saying Pac. 3 out of those 7 though, I might consider Led Zeppelin because I'm not gonna lie.
They're huge, Paul. They're a massive band.
But what are we looking at? We looking at music or we looking at movement? We talking about impact.
Okay, we're not talking about impact.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Something.
Zeppelin had crazy impact too.
I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, Zeppelin had crazy, but again, I don't want to. I'm not here to compare apples to apples, oranges. I'm not gonna do that. We're not gonna have the battle.
I just wanted to,
because if you know Zeppelin is huge,
massive, bro.
It's the same way Pac is a huge artist,
cult-like fan base, just like Pac.
Yeah, so like they're huge at their own right.
Right,
And again, like I said, if it would be hard, it's just like Bill Belichick and
whoever.
it was Bill Belichick and the owner Robert Kraft. They both deserve to be first ballot Hall of Famer. Gene has a point of this is our genre. Right. A hip hop artist didn't come in until LL Cool J, which was way later. Yeah. So he has a point of why we changed it before, and like it was already how we had it. Right. Hip hop needs to create their own shit and do their own thing. I agree with that. Like,
what would you say for the hip hop artists that mix actually rock and roll with the hip hop, like Machine Gun Kelly,
Uzi Vert?
Oh, you all in?
Yeah, Uzi Vert, freaking Playboy Cardi. You think if he lived to see them enter the rock, you think he'll have an issue with them?
Yeah, but them niggas still hip hop artists.
Yeah, I'm saying, but they mix it with a little rock.
Yeah,
bro,
but
they're not
like Machine Gun Kelly.
They don't acknowledge it.
They this color.
Yeah.
Even Lil Wayne.
Because they this color.
No,
he gonna have a problem with it, bro.
Machine Gun Kelly is.
He gonna have a problem with it. They this color.
He white.